boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now, and you're not so big.
Hello everyone, welcome to 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host Kenny, and with me is my co-host Jose Quintana. So, episode 6 of Wandavision. I don't know about you, Jose, but I'm like these episodes are getting better, but also they feel too short. Like they keep leaving me hanging. So what are your thoughts on this week's episode?
The only thing that I'm upset about was the cliffhanger.
I think everybody is, as am I, because it's as much as I love the show, it's just like there's like 25 minutes of content and then just 7 minutes of credits, which is understandable because like a lot of people worked on the show. But yeah, I just want more, you know. Anyway, I think the show's doing a great job with that because it keeps bringing us back, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, before we begin, as always, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. If you like what you see here, we upload new videos every week. Our friends are covering Attack on Titans on their segment of 2FAST2MOVIE, so be sure to check that out. And as always, spoilers ahead. So, we are covering episode 6, the all-new Halloween Spooktacular. So, last week, I thought that we were, like, going into the 90s, but I guess last week was a blend of late 80s, early 90s, because this week's sitcom segment is very early 2000s, because, you know, there's a lack of a laugh track, and more on dry humor, and this is pretty much parodying Malcolm in the Middle, like aesthetic-wise, like even the intro, just the humor type with the kids talking to us, breaking the fourth wall. It's literally Malcolm in the Middle. What did you think about their take on the sitcom this week?
On the take on the sitcom, it definitely was a bit of nostalgia for me because, like, I grew up on watching Nick, Disney, like those kind of channels, and the shows there were very reminiscent of the intro and how, like you said, the kids talking to us. Not a lot of early 2000 shows did that, but there are even some current ones or semi-current ones, early 10s kinds of shows that featured that. So it was a lot of nostalgia for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a bit of nostalgia for me because, I grew up watching Malcolm in the Middle, like, every season. And it's a great show, and I miss it very much. And yeah, like, have you seen Malcolm in the Middle, Jose?
I've seen some episodes, but I haven't watched it, like, probably not like you did.
Okay, Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle is sort of family drama, kind of like the Simpsons, but live action, kind of dealing with everyday family life, but with a little bit of dark humor to it. Sort of parody, but also a heartfelt commentary on family life. And it features the kid Malcolm talking to the audience about his struggles and what he's thinking about his family. And that's sort of what they did here with Billy, and I guess Tommy too, because they were both sort of talking to the camera. And yeah, the intro is very aesthetic-wise is very similar to Malcolm in the Middle with the font and everything. I think it was just like very blatantly, and even the set design, the colors of the kitchens, it's very yellow. It's just like that's pretty much Malcolm in the Middle. But I feel like they leaned less on the whole sitcom thing this week, and focused more on like the driving plot of the season, with Wanda dealing with her trauma and Vision sort of waking up from this nightmare, I guess, from his point of view anyway. So yeah, what's been going on with Vision, Jose?
he's coming to realization, just like you said. What he does in this episode though was kind of smart on him, but with the ending a little bit of almost like a tearjerker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he explores, I think, outer areas of Westview and sees like people on a loop, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not being like the rest of the other people residents in Westview.
Yeah, it seems that the further out certain people are, the less conscious they are. So it's like I don't know, like the epicenter of the town. Like things are very vibrant and stuff. But the farther you reach, the less active they are, because I guess like the hex has sort of a reach, like a stretch, and if you go a little too far from it, you sort of lose, you sort of Wanda sort of loses control of them a bit, so they're just sort of frozen, I guess. So yeah, Vision has been taking a more active role instead of just playing along with Wanda's little production, I guess, and yeah, Vision encounters Agnes and wakes her up. So we get a little bit of that where she wakes up and she's like, "Oh my God, you're Vision. You're an Avenger." And he goes, "What's an Avenger?" So obviously he has no memories of his past. But I also still like, even though like Agnes does the whole waking up, like, "Oh my God, like you're an Avenger. Help us, help us." I'm not buying it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely not buying it. I watched this in a place where I couldn't listen to it completely, so I had captions on. So it said laughing maniacally on it, and in my mind I was just like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
she's in on some shit."
yeah, absolutely. And she's also dressed as a witch. Come on, and with streaks of white hair too. That's just like big Agatha vibes. So yeah, I'm not buying it. Like with each episode going, like they're trying to establish that this is all Wanda's doing, and yeah, it's like definitely, but going along with Wanda talking to Pietro, they sort of have like the sit down at the Halloween festival, and we get to see what Pietro is like now that he's Peter Evans. So it's still very MCU Quicksilver. It's because his speed is very different from X-Men Quicksilver, where X-Men Quicksilver just sort of zips, and whereas MCU Quicksilver has that sort of blue flash going every time he runs about. Yeah, so Quicksilver and Wanda sort of have a sit down, and what do you make of Quicksilver? What do you do you buy this is maybe like this is actually Quicksilver, or is this like someone else is doing?
Very hard to say, because he kind of has like the Agnes vibes from early on, where it's like something just doesn't seem right with him, and it's just very confusing with him, because like there's a point where he mentions about the kids like all suddenly showing up, and and it's like, where have you been hiding them? And then Wanda's like, what? And then Pietro just plays it off like that was just a normal comment or anything like that.
Yeah, and Pietro also like asks Wanda like, how'd you do all this? And like, so it's established that Wanda is actively doing this, but she doesn't know how it all started, right? So obviously there's something else at play here, and of course we're all pointing at Agnes, but also we haven't seen Doddie. That's interesting.
Yeah. Not since the second episode, right?
I want to say third. Like she had a small bit in episode 3, but it was like very small. I mean, like there are also other residents that we've we haven't seen, like the hearts, and yes, some of them haven't like popped up either. So they mysteriously sort of disappeared. I don't know what that's about. Um, so yeah, maybe Doddie is sort of falls in line with that circle, but also yeah, maybe Doddie is a Mephisto, but also I'm pointing at Agnes. That Agnes is either Mephisto or Agatha, or and and children appear now. Like I didn't realize that until Quicksilver pointed it out. Um, do you have any theories on any of that?
I have none. Not this time.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. There's just so many variables. So also taking place on the outside, Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy. They're trying to do their part in sort of helping contain this hex with Sword. But the director of Sword is a dick.
Yeah.
Where very stereotypically like shoot first, ask later, where Monica's like she's going through a lot and we need to negotiate and talk with her, but this guy seems super eager to shoot her or like kill her. So I'm betting that whatever is going on with Wanda, I think he has something to do with it, or like something's going on that he doesn't want everybody to know. Um, I'm not quite sure. What do you make of the director of Sword?
He's an ass. Just
Yeah.
plain out, he really is, and he definitely is hiding something. We can tell a little bit when Darcy is hacking into his files and like just uncovers stuff after stuff, and then there's one secret file that's all that's left, which is I'm gonna call it the plot, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of figuring out what this guy's intentions are.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So I don't like. I want to say maybe he's in league with Mephisto, but also at the same time he's like I don't know because like there are like certain clues like back in the episode where we focused on Monica, in the background, where he has his like degrees, they're shaped in a hexagon. It's weird. I'm not sure if that's like trying to mislead us or like it actually has something to do with the whole hex thing, but who knows? I'm not sure. But it was fun to see Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy, to take an active role and try to fight back against Sword when they were kicked out. And I love that Jimmy, Randall Park's character, is not a complete bumbling idiot, and that he's very capable. I was so afraid that because he's like the nice comic relief guy that he's just like physically useless. But it was pleasant to see that like he is an FBI agent, so he is like trained for that. So I love seeing that. The interesting thing about I want to talk about is Monica. So in the past episode, the last week's episode, they did a scan of Monica when she finally got out of the hex, and the scan showed her. If you look back, it's just like her body is like it's like an X-ray or something, like or radiation scan. It's completely white, and that's not normal. And Darcy mentions this week that her body is changing every time she steps through uh, through the hex. And I'm thinking, is this the birth of mutants? Maybe, you know, like the fact that like humans have a certain X gene within their bodies, and with whatever Wanda's doing with her powers, it sort of activates those X genes, because with how this episode ends, she can expand that hex. So how far can she expand that? So I'm guessing like this will have an effect on people, and probably gifting people powers, but also giving Monica powers, because in the comics, she is also a superhero, and she has powers of her own. So what do you think about that theory on that front, with the whole plot point of her body changing?
I gotta be honest, I actually missed that part, but
Oh, whoops.
it's but that's perfectly fine because
Mhm.
it makes sense theory wise speaking that this could be the way mutants become quickly into the MCU. I also heard a little bit that it could either be mutants or Inhumans, but I think mutants is a little bit more likely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Go ahead.
it's it would make sense in my opinion that it's mutants just because we know Scarlet Witch mostly as a mutant throughout Marvel history,
Mm-hmm.
and the Hex reality bending powers could no doubt just change the genes and just give them the X gene or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think this will definitely open doors for mutants, whether it be like a multiverse thing, because like we know that WandaVision is supposed to be like a lead into Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness movie. So there's also another theory that like with what Wanda is doing, she's sort of pulling, or whoever is actually behind this is like pulling from the multiverse, and that's why Quicksilver looks different. Like maybe they're poking through the multiverse and picking a Quicksilver that's still alive, and that's Fox's X-Men universe, and sort of throwing him here, you know. Um, so right now we know that's just reality bending powers, but the reason why multiverse theories are coming in is just because we know that this leads into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness somehow, but we don't know how. And also like Quicksilver looks different now, and so that's all we can theorize on currently. Yeah, and like speaking of powers, Billy and Tommy. Billy and Tommy finally gained their powers this episode. And what do you think about the boys so far?
I'm very excited to see their powers coming to fruition. I know Tommy mostly after like Quicksilver, and Billy close to Wanda, but at the same time kind of a little bit more unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know about Wanda's hearing throughout however many miles or away Vision was at that moment. You know the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Billy, he seems to like have sort of a sense of like where people are, but I don't know. It's very vague right now, but he seems to be more like an empath with his powers. Sensing where Vision is, and when he was dying, and also Vision stepping out of the boundary was wow,
Yeah.
and just seeing him being torn apart, and then Wanda just quickly expanding it just to save him. It's wild. It's wild. But yeah, Billy and Tommy. I'm very excited to see that there's just like it's Billy and Tommy is not just a reference, like an Easter egg in the comics. They're just like going full force. Yeah, this is like Speed and Wiccan, and I'm loving it. I'm watching this episode. I'm just like, man, I like as much as I like gripe on the MCU, just going like it's the same thing all the time. This show really is a breath of fresh air because it feels like they're fine. Like of course the MCU has always embraced their comic book roots, but I don't know, just like taking more creative liberties instead of just playing it safe with the whole saving the universe type thing. It's like that the MCU movies are known for, and just like a more personal character driven story. I'm really loving. So like what are your thoughts on with WandaVision as opposed to the MCU movies? What are your opinions on that?
Pretty much just aligned with yours. It's definitely a breath of fresh air. It's something that feels completely different than almost the majority of the entire MCU.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that a lot of people who only watched the first 2 episodes kind of slept on and just like dumped it out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep watching the show, it's like not just an MCU show. It's like a full-fledged show that you would watch on a streaming platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to admit that like it is also reliant on like past movies to know certain backstories and stuff. So there's sort of a bit of that. So I wouldn't say like it's a show that anybody can jump into. You would have to be familiar at least with the Marvel movies.
Right.
In order to get into this one. But I think this is a really good step. This is a really good step for Marvel and TV shows, because if we can get like just small character-driven stories like this, like I'm super excited to see what they do with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's coming out soon.
I think right after WandaVision too.
Yeah, it's going to premiere right after WandaVision. So like we're we're not lacking in MCU content currently. So I wouldn't be worried about that when WandaVision ends. But yeah, no, just like also like seeing Vision in like full costume, like it just hits me. It's just like wow, like we're watching like these big movie characters in this small contained show, and we're just studying their character, and I just love that, and I want more of that, and it's so frustrating that it just ends like at the 25-minute mark at least, and I'm just like, oh god, like give me more, and like how do you feel about like I don't know, like waiting a week just for 30 minutes or less?
I'm not excited about it. I mean, of course I'm gonna watch it, but
Mm-hmm.
that cliffhanger it was really good, and I was like super in watching super into the show at that moment. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna happen next? And then please stand by.
The please stand by always gets me. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think just like with the current media platform, I think we're all just very spoiled with the binge watching culture, that we just want all of it at once. As frustrating as it is, I think there's a novelty to like just like watching an episode a week and then just like, holy crap, like that was something, and then just spending a whole week theorizing like what we're doing right now.
Right.
What's gonna happen? I guess in a way, like it, like in a very meta way, WandaVision is taking us back to good old television before streaming services. The whole half an hour episode, and then it ends, and then like you spend the week talking about it with your friends, anticipating for the next episode. So I think in a very very meta way, like the parodying of sitcoms and TV and television in general, I think this works on their behalf as a strength. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, this show has so many layers. Like when you just sit down and think about it, and I'm loving it, and I'm like, I'm just super excited. I just hope they stick the landing on the final episode. And yeah, I hope that like Quicksilver is here to stay, because like I just want more X-Men. I just want more X-Men. That's it. Yeah, so I guess like I didn't find any Easter eggs, or like but besides the like references that we've discussed. Well, yeah, the Hex expanded. Darcy gets sucked into it, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait until next week to see, what her role in the Hex is. Maybe as the sassy friend. Who knows? But yeah, I guess like in conclusion, I'm sensing a yay from both of us, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Any critiques? Do you think?
Nothing bad that I can say. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually pretty much nailed the Halloween special that most shows usually go for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, not like the typical spooky thing. Not that, at least not that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
it was for what WandaVision is trying to accomplish. It definitely did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also like I think the obvious Easter eggs were the Halloween costumes.
Oh yeah,
that were
sure.
that were just like lifted right out of the comics and going like, hey, this is what they looked like. And I enjoyed that for Quicksilver's costume. They even added like his ridiculous spiky hair from the comics. That was a really nice touch. So yeah. But yeah, definitely yay for me. And I'm just like, come on, next Friday, let's go, like right now, please. I just want, I just want to eat all of it, but we gotta wait for the next one. So yeah, so I guess like since this week is the early 2000s, I'm guessing we're going into the late 2000s or the 2010s next week. So I'm sensing The Office or Parks and Rec type format. That's what I'm theorizing. Again, I have not seen the previews. If you've seen the preview, you've seen the previews, haven't you?
I actually have not seen next week's preview yet.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, well, if you like to let me know. I'm not watching it, but yeah. And what was the preview for last week?
It mostly showed, it did show the Halloween costumes and like a bit of just the Halloween town. It didn't really focus on Quicksilver, Billy, or Tommy, but it did show Vision trying to leave the hex.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Just like what is outside Westview, and then trying to push through. And then they cut off there.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch the previews because I was just losing my shit the whole time. But yeah, my perspective is that I don't watch the previews. Jose does, so that's pretty much us. But yeah, that's pretty much WandaVision, episode 6, the ooky spooky Halloween episode. Some spooks, definitely, but yeah, just overall very, very fun. So yeah, thank you as always for tuning in. You can find us on most places you find podcasts like Spotify and Amazon Music. Our friends are covering the MCU movies on Return of the Movies, so be sure to check that out. Age of Ultron just dropped, and I believe Civil War is going to be next, so keep an eye out for that one. So yeah, thank you for listening as always, and yeah, as always, it's 2FAST2MOVIE.